Hey, good evening, everybody. Oh, wow, look at all these amazing people here today. Welcome to our community tour and artist engagement, and it's the first of 2024. So thank you, and welcome for being here at the Center for Native Arts and Culture. My name is Shyla Spicer. I'm a member of the Yakama Nation. I'm also a Portland native, and I'm your new president, CEO for Native Arts and Culture Foundation. So welcome for being here tonight. The city block where this building is situated was a sloping wetland within the traditional homelands of the Multnomah, Chinook, Klamath, Clackamas, Tualatin, Kalipuya, Malala, and other people indigenous to what is known as the Lower Columbia River Basin, one of my tribes as well. If this is your first visit here, we're so excited to host you in our space. And if you've been to this center before, welcome back. And we're so happy you're in community with us. It's wonderful to have you here. I also want to thank individual members who have helped make things and experiences and nights like this possible. And if you are new to NACF, I want you to consider learning more about becoming an individual member and what that membership program looks like while you're here, and join in lending your much needed presence and support to the support and work that we do in Portland and across the country to help support and uplift Native artists and culture bearers. So thank you, individual members, and I want to hope that you become an individual member in the future. Tonight we have a very special artist demonstration, followed by a tour in our historic 40,000 square foot space. So I hope that if you haven't gone on the tour, I hope you stay. And if you're joining our tour portion after this demonstration, we'll have that in the lobby just following this demonstration. It will be with myself and our program, our Director of Development, Katie. Give us a wave, Katie, right back there. Thank you. All right, so look for Katie and myself, and we'll be happy to take you through our beautiful space here. With that, I am pleased to introduce Kanani Miyamoto, our guest for this evening, our guest artist for this evening. And I'll give you a little bit of history about and bio about her. So she's originally from Honolulu, Hawaii. She's one of our 2023 NACF LIFT grantees. She currently lives here in Portland, Oregon, where she practices art, teaches, and curates. She's of mixed heritage, identifying most with her Hawaiian and Japanese roots. And important into her work as an artist is sharing and celebrating the unique mixed backgrounds in our contemporary art world, and hopes to represent her community and the beauty of intersectional identities. Kanani holds a Master's in Fine Arts in Print Media from Portland Northwest College of Art, and a Bachelor's of Art in Art Practices at Portland State University. Her training in printmaking is rooted in tradition, but Kanani pushes the standards of printmaking in the form of large-scale mixed media, original prints, and installation, as you might see right behind me. And her work is created in many different techniques. It includes combining copper plate etchings with screen printing and woodblock prints to create rich and unique installations. In addition to being a practicing artist, Kanani is an advocate for art education, is a passionate community worker, and currently serves as the art coordinator at PAIR, which is a local nonprofit that builds positive relationships with homeless youth through art education, recreation, and job training. So please put your hands together for a warm welcome for Kanani Miyamoto.
Do you want to come? Thank you. Thank you so much for that introduction. And thank you for having me here. I'm super honored and excited to share my work with you all. This is Bingyi, my assistant, a long-time assistant. Bingyi was once my student a long time ago, and we've since become friends. And one of my most favorite lifetime memories is when we were out having a drink and Bingyi introduced me as a friend and not a professor. But So I thought I want to do a demonstration. I feel like because I'm a printmaker, but I work in such a large scale, I thought it might be interesting to share the process with you. And also the LIFT grant that I was awarded from the Native Arts and Culture Foundation really has a lot to do with material and process too. So that's a big part of my work. But I wanted to share with you a little of my past work and some of the content that I like to work with and things I like to talk about in the art. You want to sit down?
Could it be a little louder?
Yeah, I think I can talk louder. Is that better? Okay. I would get nervous and my mouth is already dry, so I don't know how long that's gonna last, but I'm gonna try. So a lot of my work are huge installations, and I really like to think about and talk about cultural erasure, tourism. A lot of times I talk about Western interpretation of Polynesian culture. Because I'm from a mixed background, it's been hard to share all of my cultures together. But this was an early installation that I did, and it was called Industry of Aloha. So the top part of the installation were bright, big, colorful flowers that are often associated with Hawaii, but have absolutely nothing to do with Hawaii, and have a lot of, like pineapple especially, has really hurt the land. Agriculture has just destroyed our land. And pineapple is a lot of times associated with Hawaii, right? Like pina coladas and Hawaiian pizza and all of that stuff. And it is infuriating for me as a Hawaiian because Dole, who brought pineapple to the islands, is one of the main people who were involved in the illegal overthrow of the Hawaiian kingdom. And started the occupation in Hawaii. You can switch the thing. So again, this was me thinking, this is a pretty recent install, and I was thinking about the industry in Hawaii again. I did this work right after the devastating Maui fires, and I use a lot of symbolism in my work, and I'm Asian too, so a lot of reference I pull is from Asian philosophy and Asian work as well. In this work, the serpent symbolizes the Big Five, which are the Big Five corporations that kind of took over the islands. And mostly they were interested in sugar. And they had so much power on the islands, and they acted like a oligarchy, is that how you say it? They were super powerful and led to the overthrow. But in this, the big five is the serpent, and the serpent has 5 eyes. And Japanese artists do not put the pupil, if they're painting or drawing auspicious creatures, they don't put the pupils in the eyeballs until the very last, until they're finished. It's the final touch, and that kind of adds a soul, gives the creatures a soul. So in this piece, I did not want to give the corporations a soul. And around the serpent are taro and ulu, which are staple Hawaiian foods. And in Lahaina was abundant with those foods before the sugar industry came into town. The sugar industry came in and diverted water and pretty much just dried up the place. In the media, they often called it a natural disaster, but it really wasn't. You know, it was from long time abuse of the land. Okay, you can turn it. And this was another part of that install, and I referenced a specific sugarcane strain that was modified, the very first modified strain of sugar in Hawaii, and it was called Lahaina. Don't look. Okay, you can go. Yeah, sorry. A lot of the work I do, I don't know. I've done a lot of things talking about Paul Gauguin. I hear Bingy laughing over here because I get on these rants because he's like my art nemesis. Like I really have a strong dislike for this artist for many reasons. A lot of people know him for his predatory nature with young women. He was known to take young women as brides, you know, from the ages of 13, the youngest known to me anyways. But for me, it's more than that. It goes deeper, right? Our institutions are still showing this work, and it's just kind of perpetuating this violence against Native and Indigenous people. When Paul Gauguin went to Tahiti, first of all, his work didn't become really popular until he started doing his Tahitian paintings, right? And he basically was like really highly regarded for color and all of this stuff, but he was appropriating. He was appropriating culture. He was using the flowers, the tropical flowers and colors, you know, that he was seeing on the islands. So it wasn't him. Okay, I'm gonna stop because I'm just gonna keep going on and on. So thinking about appropriation and how he appropriated stuff, I often appropriate directly his work. So this is his painting called Nevermore, and this is my etching called Nevermore. And this is a really difficult technique of etching. It's a CMYK process, copper intaglio. On one, it's a reductive print, so I used just one piece of copper. And I did this, like I said, process is really important to me, and I kind of punish myself with process for some reason. But it's a really labor-intensive process where I etch the copper for the first layer, and then I have to sand it all down till it's nice and smooth, and then etch it again for each color. But I wanted to do this because I wanted to just be like, see, Gauguin, whatever, like, you're not anything, I could do it. And I added the two little Gauguin ticks and parasites. It was kind of a disease-bringing parasite to the islands. Okay. This is more work thinking about appropriation. This is on the right-hand side, Spirit of the Dead Watching, Paul Gauguin's painting. Again, like he was, you know, people talk about him as being innovative and, you know, just such a great artist, but he was appropriating. This was a Dutch artist that came before him. And I mean, there's so many similarities, you know, in composition, in ideas, everything. So in an experimental space, and this was one of the first big installations I did thinking about Gauguin, I again appropriated, and these two were facing each other on the wall, so I kind of wanted them to have a conversation. Unfortunately, the Dutch piece is not well known, so not a lot of people got that connection, but it's okay. Okay. And that installation that I was talking about was called Moruroa, and Moruroa is an atoll in French Tahiti that for 30 years suffered nuclear testing by the French government. So that's a thing that really gets me upset, you know, when I go to museums and I see his work, especially because I have never seen contemporary Tahitian artists in these places, right? I don't think in my whole life I have ever seen a contemporary Tahitian artists in an art gallery here on the continent. And that makes me really sad, you know, because we often hear about Paul Gauguin and see his work, and that's what we know about Tahiti, you know, but it's way more than that. And there are people there living this day making work, you know. So it's time to change. Okay. Again, appropriating images. This is an evil spirit, Tahitian woman with evil spirit, and Paul Gauguin refers to himself with his own words and his own writing as an evil spirit. So, it kind of like puts in place that, you know, just grossness. But that's my appropriated image of Paul Gauguin as an evil spirit, and you can see the little parasitic Gauguins kind of falling out of the skull's mouth. Okay. This exhibit was in Maui. And for this one, I did something a little different. And instead of directly appropriating images, I used Paul Gauguin's woodcuts as reference. And I used his woodcuts from a book called Noa Noa. And it's a book that he wrote about his life in Tahiti. But it was fully fictional. Like, he wrote about Tahiti like it was this savage land, you know, and nobody had ever been there before, when in fact the French had colonized Tahiti decades before. So I took the images and I wanted to make the women larger than life, like monumental, and really take up space. And this wall, I was thinking about women as creators, life givers. The patterns on the side are taken from Hawaiian petroglyph. I don't know if you can see, I kind of put them together to create a pattern, but can you see in there a woman giving birth? And then the circles, the concentric circles are piko. Piko in Hawaiian is your belly button. And in ancient times, there was a tradition where a family, when you had a baby, you would go to the sea and carve a piko in the rocks, and then you would put your child's umbilical cord there, and then you would do it for each child that you had, so sometimes the circles would grow. And also 3 is really important in Hawaii we have a philosophy of having 3 picos. Your first pico is your fontanelle, or your soft spot, and that's your connection to your ancestors. And your navel, your belly button pico, is your connection to your present day reality. And then your third pico is your genitals, and that's your connection to your future generations. So keeping those picos in line, it really makes for, you know, well-balanced society and people. Oh, I wanted to read you something. I wanted to read to you, what is it called? Like something that was in a newspaper. What is it called? A critique? No, it's not. I don't think it was like a review. Okay, so I did this work in Maui, and can I read this to you? It's only like 3 paragraphs. It's super short. Okay. So Disrupting the Gaze is what the exhibit was called. And this was written about me and my work in the newspaper in Hawaii. Okay. Of Hawaiian ancestry, Kanani Miyamoto of Portland, Oregon, calls out Paul Gauguin's colonial gaze, sharing her outrage at an entry from his journal that reads, "All the young women and girls wish to be taken, literally, brutally taken, without a single word." Those are his exact words, like he wrote that. And he goes on, this writer goes on to say, "But suppose Gauguin is just the messenger here, as a lone alien with nothing much to his name but his paint box. What power could he wield over the practice of natives? And haven't generations of art lovers in Polynesia and around the world seen in his island women celebrations of their invalid mana?" And he threw in a Hawaiian word, you know, I don't know, just for some credit or something, but it doesn't work in that sentence. Does it work in that sentence? I don't think it works in that. Do I have any folks who speak Hawaiian out there? Invalid mana. Figure it out. Okay, no one has a strange hold on truth. Miyamoto sees the history her way and chooses her battles accordingly. So this review was written by Matthew Gerwich, who took up residency in Maui in 2011. And he has a BA in English and a PhD in comparative literature. So he has absolutely no experience being, you know, a resident. This show was in 2018, so he had only been there a few years, you know. And he has no experience with Indigenous studies, no experience with Hawaiian studies, no experience with art history. So I was infuriated when I read that. You know, I felt like this is what a lot of, I think, Indigenous artists have to deal with and put up with, like straight up gaslighting, right? He's basically telling me he's just an artist, you know, what power does he have when it just makes me really mad. I'm gonna go on. I did want to call my cousins and tell them go talk to Matthew, but I didn't. We have to keep it professional. So sometimes I'm like a art troll, and like when there's exhibits and things that is showing Gauguin's work, I like to go and visit and like just get really mad and grumpy and talk about it. I went to this exhibit in San Francisco at the De Young, and they had a lot of the Tahiti work. I went down to the gift store and came upon these beautiful items, mugs and mouse pads and tote bags with these women on them. And these women were 13, 14 years old. Back in the day, they had a practice of arranged marriage type situations, right? And Paul Gauguin kind of took advantage of that. Fact is, he died alone with syphilis in Tahiti. So none of these women were in love with him. None of them stayed with him. There are no known children that he had, not that I know of, in Tahiti. But these get me so worked up and mad because it's like you're drinking your morning coffee with this, basically a victim on it. You know what I mean? Like a pedophile's fantasy, and you're just sipping your coffee in the morning. It really, really made me upset. So I made my own swag. And I did this thing called gift giving, where I would go into museum gift shops and kind of like set up my own little arrangements. And I even bought these little like stands to put things on. You can go on. So there's some stickers, and the mug had the quote on it that I read to you. Indeed, I saw in the district, young women and girls, tranquil of age, pure Tahitians, all indeed wish to be taken literally, brutally taken without a single word. And these are the girls that you have on your coffee mug selling in your gift stores. Like, there's really something wrong with that. There's just some, I really love doing the postcard thing because it takes them a really long time to find them. So and I actually brought some for you all to take, so you're more than welcome to grab some before you leave. We should probably do the demo because I really want to show you how I print. I have a bunch of other slides on there, but we can just ignore that stuff. And yeah, we'll just go on. Thank you so much for listening to me rant about Gauguin. And if you want to talk more about it, I'm down. So like I said earlier, materials, tools, and process is so important in my work. When I was I have a master's degree in printmaking, and I learned printmaking traditionally, so European style, right? And there's your limited size, there's borders, there's rules to how you number your prints and the letters you put after your prints, and there are no fingerprints, and it's just so like tight and constricted. And I loved it for a little while, but when I was in grad school, I was lucky enough to have a mentor that had connection to Hawaii and Japan. And it just opened up my world. So he introduced me to Japanese papers and Japanese processes and materials and tools. And that allowed me to stay away from the small European-sized papers and work really large. And that's how I started getting into what I'm doing. And the LIFT project that Native Arts and Culture Foundation is funding for me has a lot to, so learning all of those techniques and processes really helped me work through my identity and bring that into my work. And the Native Arts and Culture Foundation is funding a project that is helping me connect to my Hawaiian culture and bring in some of those materials into the work as well. So I'm doing a project that's going to involve weaving, and I've been learning how to gather and process lauhala. And my grandmother was a lauhala weaver, and she never really taught any of us grandkids because she always wove to make money. So she was weaving these little angel ornaments, Christmas tree ornaments, and selling them to like the tourist spot down the road. And so the project is gonna be called Weaving Angels. And I'm gonna try to reclaim and relearn this process and technique. And through the project, even though it's just started and I just started doing work on it, I have built pilina, or connection to the land, because there's a tree that I go to every time I go back. There's a tree I visit every single time, and there's chickens there that come out and say hi to me now, and I don't know, it just feels really good. As soon as I land in Hawaii, like all I can think about is going to visit that tree. So it's been kind of cool, and I've been in talks with my cousins. My family is really like my parents and my cousin's parents. They're all like big time traumatized. You know, they have a lot of stuff they need to work through, but none of them will ever go to therapy. So the cousins are kind of reconnecting and ending that, right? So I've been in a lot of conversation with my cousins, and one of my cousins actually learned a little bit from my grandmother, and she has my grandmother's tools. So my grandmother's tools, weaving tools, are going to be sent to me. And I was speaking to another cousin, and he was talking to me about a Hawaiian practice called moe uhane, which is a practice of sleeping. So Hawaiians believe that there's a way that you can actually connect to your ancestors that have passed through really learning how to use your dreams. So I don't know if I'm gonna try. I don't know if it's possible for me because I work too much. And when I'm tired, I just pass out, but I'm gonna try. But it's nice talking to them and learning more about my family and those connections. And this grant and this project is helping do that. So it's beyond just the art, right? Like, it's doing so much, and I'm so happy. Thank you, Native Arts and Culture. Okay, you wanna print? So I wanted to show this to you because it's so huge, and again, I like to punish myself when I work as well. So, and this is a print that's a part of my project. So I'll be weaving the lauhala into the print, and you can stand up. You don't have to sit down. You can come closer and hang out. We already kind of inked it up. So everything is hand carved, and because the print is so big, I can't really use a press. There are presses this big, but it's difficult, to transport I mean, you should have seen us when I got here trying to get these things out of the car. It was a mess. So the carving is very labor intensive. The printing is very labor intensive. The install is labor intensive too. And I don't know, I just kind of really love the aches and pains that I feel through the work. And I don't know, it leaves a lasting physical memory, I guess. Is that weird? Should I talk to someone about that? My back hurts and my knees hurt. I carve on the ground. I've had people buy me tables here. I can't work on a table. It's too big. This is just a speedball. I think it's called drive-by. It's oil-based. I would like to make my own ink. That would be cool, but I think it would be too torturous. Okay, you ready? It's gonna be uneven because I'm nervous. Oh, I have a piece cut somewhere over there. This one? Yeah. This paper that I use is a Japanese paper called sekishu, and it's my favorite. I always like to tell people about Japanese papers, and this side, the other side. So Japanese papers are called washi, and they're not rice paper. Rice paper is a term that was brought to the United States by a company called Yatsumoto Art Supplies, and Yatsumoto Art Supplies felt that Americans wouldn't be able to pronounce the Japanese names for paper, so they just called it rice paper. But we eat rice. We don't make art with rice. There's no rice in this paper. I think that there's some papers that are made with rice, but they're not very good quality, you know. Sekishu is made from the mulberry plant, which I think is kind of like, what is it, Vauke, that's kappa's made of?
So paper's made of mulberry?
Yeah. And they do it in a way where European papers are cotton rags, so they're like beat up, and the fibers are really short. This fiber, they strip the bark, and they soak the fibers, and they put it in a bag. So if you look at the paper, you can see the really long fibers. So that allows the paper to be thinner and stronger. So the installations that I do, I use a paste that's removable. I can re-wet it, and I can actually peel the prints off and reuse them. Oh yeah, that's camellia oil, and it just helps. It helps reduce the friction. I have the good Baron. This is a Baron, and this is like the super fancy one. Bingy has a really crappy one, so you have to work harder. I'm sorry. Do you want to trade? The wood is, I should show you that. The wood is called, it's not wood, it's MDF. And a lot of times I use both sides, so like you can see, this one is kind of beat up, but I can still print from it, and then I use the other side. And then this one, I think, has another one on the side. I have found this big crane here. I found a source that is more sustainable, so they're repurposing like wood chips, and it's better for the environment and has less harmful chemicals. The other stuff would give me like rashes when I carved from the dust, but that stuff doesn't, so I'm really excited about it. It's cheap. I wouldn't be able to afford my art practice if I was using fine woods. It's MDF, yeah, particle board. Mm-hmm. Are you sweating? Almost done. So a lot of the installations that I do, I use like hundreds of these prints. I use screen prints too, and that's a lot faster, but all of the prints are hand printed, hand painted, and then I cut each individual one out and then use them as a collage them up. These hands are actually another lift person's hands. Lehua Uakea. She used to live right down the street from me. Oh, this thing sucks. No, this is special occasion. I call being you when I'm like stressed and I've procrastinated too much and I have to put up work. But normally I just print by myself, yeah. You ready? I think it's ready. Okay. The sekishu is, and I think Japanese papers in general, if you're printing without a press, are best to use because it's really hard to get a good print on the Western papers. Are you ready? Right there. Let's do it. Oh my gosh, I'm so nervous. That's the cool thing about printmaking though, right? Like, you never know what you're gonna get.
Now, some of the ink comes through the paper as well as being.
Yeah.
That's, I noticed that.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
fibers are pretty loose.
Yeah. You ready? You want to put it in the front? There you go. Yay!
So is the red intentional?
The red on the, no, I was trying to do some other weird stuff and it didn't work. I tried to, I printed with gold, which was really beautiful, and then I wanted to do like a washi. I wanted the print to be less graphic and more like organic looking, so I tried to use a watercolor, like mokuhanga kind of style, but it didn't work. It stained the board.
So that was a previous project?
Yeah,
Or the same project?
the
but
same
different?
project, yeah. I'm still, this has not finished. I'm still playing with it
working
and
with it.
experimenting with it, yeah. Yeah. That's it. That's all I have for you. Thank you so much. And if you can, stay for the tour, because this is a really cool building with a great history and some cool stuff to look at. And then please grab a sticker or a postcard. The postcards are kind of cool because I write like my frustrations and rant on there.
Not smaller type.
They're just filling the whole thing.
How big your wood carving tool is. Like, I've never had one that big. It
Yeah.
must be like this size.
Oh, yeah.
That's
All right.
amazing. That's got to be like extra arm work to even get those through the material. right?
Yeah. You tried cutting this. It's not.
Right, with like this?
Yeah, go cut the piece. This stuff acts as like linoleum, you know.
Oh, it
it's not.
does?
Yeah.
Oh my god, I have to try it.
Thank you, Kanani, for being here
Thank
and
you
sharing
so
your voice and your point of view and your methods. If people want to know more or follow or know what you're doing next, where do they go to follow you?
I guess Instagram, but I'm not very appropriate on it.
Be forewarned.
Yeah, my Instagram is Mama Kanani. I don't have a website, but I do post a lot of process videos and stuff like that.
Her name's not even on here?
No, because I was doing illegal stuff.
Right, she doesn't want to be followed on that. But Mama Kanani on Instagram,
Yeah.
fantastic work. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your voice. We have more that's coming from Kanani as you start going through your grants. So thank you for being one of our grantees. We're so excited to see what you do next. All right, so next, and thank you for this evening. Thanks for being here tonight. If you're here for the tour, we will start that in the lobby shortly after this. But hey, give it up for Kanani. Thank you so much.
Maybe cut this black stuff out.
Keep buzzing. All right, have a good night, everybody, and hopefully we'll see you on the tour.
Oh my god. I want this.
It's nice.
Sharpen these all the time?
I use a honing compound in leather to keep them polished, but then
Leather?
I send them away.